I'm on Main Street and it's loud. As you can see, the construction has started to remove the bricks from the two buildings damaged by last month's fire.
You were here at about 9:30 this morning, so you've been witnessing everything that's been going on here today in Bisbee.
Yeah, Pat, it's been a lot of shock and a lot of work. The fire crews have been out here way before that I got here, and they've been putting water on these two buildings for the last 3 hours that we've been here shooting. But we've also seen a lot of people with questions and coming out here in the last hour or so to just take a look at the damage and what's left of these historic buildings. The Huachuca City Community Garden produces 5,000 pounds of fresh produce a year, including green beans, which grow in this arch, and there's even some ready to be picked. The last time I was on D Avenue here in Douglas, construction was happening over here at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church, and as you can see, all that debris is gone. But now, if we head down the block this way, here at First Presbyterian Church, beams are up, which means that they can finally start construction after 6 months of waiting.
KGON 9's Cochise County reporter Alexis Romanjulu has been following this story from the start and was given special access inside of what's left of First Presbyterian, and she joins us now live. Alexis.
Pat and Heidi, the feeling here on 10th Street and D Avenue is different than it was last year. The feeling is hope. And like you said, I was taken inside those braced walls by Pastor Peggy Christensen, and I got to see firsthand why she and her congregation are hopeful after a tough year. A microburst on Friday blew off part of the Tombstone family's roof. This metal is now in their front yard after they picked it up after it blew across the street into the Tombstone cemetery. Roughly 5,000 people rely on the city of Wilcox for its water, and this is one of multiple wells in the city, two of which had to have serious fixes to them in the last 6 months. This is the end of the U.S.-Mexico border wall that butts up against the ranch of Jim Chilton.
It ended here, and there was nothing from here up this way.
The shorter wall may keep his cattle from crossing, but not people. Moments ago, we actually saw two people walk this way and crawl under this barbed wire and make their way west to Sassabee looking for help.
They had to walk up and down these roads. It's not easy.
We drove the road the pair were walking, with steep hills, unpaved roads, and clothing lining the trail.
More Red Cross blankets.
Chilton says he's seen hundreds of people making the 25-mile walk to Sassabee, hoping to be stopped by Border Patrol.
It's not my job to apprehend, or it's the Border Patrol's job.
Chilton chooses to treat the trespassers with kindness, whether it's with the drinking fountains he's set up throughout his property or giving those he encounters snacks and telling them where to go. Why do you choose to help these people?
I've had about 35 people die on my ranch, and it's really horrible. Even if drug packers are coming across my ranch, I just don't want them dying. The person died right over there.
Chilton hopes change is coming, but says he'd like the wall to be completed and more eyes on the border.
The thing is the Border Patrol should be at the wall 24/7.
This is Soot, a 1-year-old Dalmatian here at Tombstone's fire department. But in a year, he'll be a trained therapy dog to help first responders across the county.
I am very excited to be working with Soot.
He just turned a year old.
Leslie Bryant started Hero Paws as a way to give back to first responders and veterans.
Dogs will take care of us in ways that our human partners or our human friends cannot, because they don't care what happened yesterday. They don't care what's going to happen tomorrow.
She rescues shelter dogs and trains them to be companions or service dogs at no cost.
There are so many dogs that are thrown away in our local shelters that are really great dogs. They just need training. And by doing that, we're saving 2 lives at one time.
Michael Lamusio, a veteran with PTSD, got his service dog Wally from Bryant to help him feel safe leaving his house.
I thought it would help me be more inclusive in society, because I just sit on my front porch. With my PTSD, I don't really trust people.
A dog's ability to comfort people and make them happy is why Holly Griswold wants Soot to be trained by Bryant.
One of the biggest things we wanted to do when we got him was, give back to the community somehow. And one of the things I recognized was Cochise County does not have therapy dogs available to first responders.
Soot is still working on his puppy behaviors, but Griswold and Bryant say he's a great way to start conversations about mental health.
Your physical health is obviously very important in the field that we work, as well as mental health. So just having this resource available for all the departments, I think will be very beneficial for the county.
You might be able to go, to Middle America and learn about fentanyl, where you can come to the source.
The Cochise County Sheriff's Office hosts visits like Senator Vance's because they want people to be educated and actually see what's happening in Cochise County from the activity happening at the border.
Congress has failed this border and this community.
Drug and human smuggling. That's what law enforcement and community leaders want politicians to know is happening in Cochise County.
In 2022, 23.37% of all fentanyl seized in the entire country, millions of pills, were seized within 20 miles of where you're seated right now.
J.D. Vance's first trip to the border was brief and left little time for conversation with Mayor McCaw.
I wanted to make sure that our story was being told.
The story of high-speed chases through cities and more than 40,000 migrants being released in the county since May 2023.
He clearly saw it today, and he clearly sees our issues. Now, we need him to verbalize those issues back to Washington and do something about it.
McCaw and Watkins say this isn't a Republican or Democrat issue because it's bigger than politics.
A 12-year-old kid driving down the highway at 100 miles an hour, being forced to drive into oncoming traffic with two teenage kids in the trunk of the car. It's not humane. It's wrong, and it needs to stop.
They show off the border because they care, and they need help from Washington.
This is the single greatest threat to the citizens of Cochise County is these smuggling load drivers. And whatever we got to do to bring attention to that, we will.
It feels like it was a few weeks ago, and it feels like it was a decade ago. It's been a roller coaster.
For the last year, Peggy Christensen, pastor of First Presbyterian, has been trying to keep the church running and cleaning up what's left from the fire.
This is the area that the arsonist started on fire. He started it right on the communion table.
This table, one of the only things to survive.
This was definitely the hottest part of the fire where it started.
2 weeks ago, Christensen and Project Superintendent Mike Reuter went into what was the sanctuary for the first time.
How did that feel? It felt so mixed, Alexis. It looks so damaged and so hurt and so wounded, and yet there is a sense of dignity and hope.
A sense of hope has kept the congregation focused to serve the community and rebuild.
It's amazing to see it for 120 years later that it's still up and still standing after a fire.
The first step, removing the damage and wood frame from the building.
It's all throw it up on the deck, get it in bins, roll it out, throw it in the trucks.
Reuters says they will start removing the wood frames next week. Christensen says despite the roller coaster of events, she's optimistic.
The spirit is indestructible. And because we know that we have a future, and we don't know exactly what it is, but we have complete confidence that we're being led.
It's not every day that a professional football player comes to Cochise County, but today Arizona Cardinal wide receiver Michael Wilson taught more than 100 kids the fundamentals of the game, but most importantly, he wanted them to have fun.
Good job, good job, good job, good job, good job. Anytime they give me an opportunity to work with young kids, it's always a no-brainer for me.
He spent the morning tossing passes, running routes, and taking on any challengers.
All right, let's go. Best 2 out of 3.
The free camp is for kids aged 6 to 14 and was made possible because of Fort Huachuca's exchange and commissary.
Hey, good catch. I really enjoy working with youth and young kids, because I think that just their energy and positivity is unmatched, and they just have so much potential and full of life.
The stores won the event from a competition Procter & Gamble had. Events like the camp are awarded to installations that sell a lot of their products. Wilson says he was happy to host the camp.
1, 2, 3. And I was a kid, I would have killed to have this opportunity and play with someone that I eventually want to do what they're doing, or become their peer one day.
The wide receiver played 13 games for the Cardinals last season, his first year in the NFL. Wilson and the kids will be back on the field tomorrow morning for the last day of the 2-day camp.
One at home says last season.
Nathan Whitworth, a junior, has played for Schaefer for 4 years.
Hopefully we can do good. If I hear you're not, you know where I'll be.
When he told us, I didn't believe it at first.
For decades, Coach Mark Schaefer has impacted student athletes here at Buena High School and in this dugout. And while next season there'll be a new skipper in charge, Schaefer's legacy isn't lost once he leaves.
It was time. Everything needs new blood.
It's scary. It's going to be very different, and I hope they put in as much effort and time as Coach Schaefer has.
Schaefer's first baseball in Buena Blue was as a player, and his last 21 have his players' signatures.
It's been said that coaching is my wife, which makes every one of these kids, all thousands of them, one of my kids. And that's the truth. They are my kids.
Which is why he wants the life lessons he taught them to help them more than his coaching.
The biggest impact he's had on this program is making good people.
It's been a week since Schaefer announced his retirement.
There will be a time that it might be after you leave that I just sit in the dugout and reflect and think about it all, because I really haven't thought about it all.
For now, he's focusing on himself and getting to all the MLB parks.
KGUN 9's Alexis Ramanjulu was recently named one of Cochise County's most influential people. She is at Loveless Field as Buena gets set to host Pueblo. The Colts trying to stay unbeaten. Good evening, Alexis.
Thanks, Jason. Buena football's 4-0 record is the best start for the school since 1995, and head coach Joe Thomas told me earlier this week that they are playing with a chip on their shoulder, which is making this team stand out from previous years because they missed the playoffs last year despite having a 7-3 record.
We're still hungry.
Winning is the only option for the Buena Colts, and so far they've done just that.
It means that we come in, we put the work in, and we're committed, we're focused.
The Colts haven't always had success. Thomas's coaching stint started with 2 winless seasons. The difference, this team and their mentality.
Different type of kids. You try to get to all of them, you can't. I think that we do have a lot of talent, especially with our junior group. Being able to be 4-0 and perfect thus far is our goal. We've been focusing more on being 1-0 every week.
Their next challenge, Pueblo. And if there's another game, Buena's ready to run.
The games before tomorrow don't mean nothing if we don't handle business tomorrow. As soon as you feel like you're satisfied, then you start to underperform and you don't do what it took to get you there in the first place.
If the Colts win tonight, they'll be 5-0 for the first time since the 1970s. And the team knows the impact winning has on the community.
Small town football it's great. The environment's great. We pack the stands. As long as we keep winning, I think that we bring communities together.
You're doing such a great job. Jason, like you said earlier, we've been at every Buena home game, and Nash is absolutely right. The fans have packed the stadium. We've been here about an hour before kickoff, and people are trickling in, claiming their spots. And not to mention, it's homecoming game today, so we expect another packed stadium for the game tonight.